Well, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with another episode of the Inside Voice podcast. Hey, it's Jess. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for making us a part of this time of year and a part of your life in general. I was just thinking how close we are to Thanksgiving. What is it, next week? Are we already coming up on that? Like, I gotta check my calendar on that one. Yeah, like it is literally next week. That is insane to me. But obviously it makes me very hungry and I'm very excited about Thanksgiving coming up next week. This month we've been talking about difficult people because, like getting into the holiday season, getting into this time of year, it just feels like you're around more people. You know what I mean? Like you might be around more strangers as you're out hustling and bustling through the holiday season. You might be around more coworkers and colleagues as you're getting together for holiday parties or maybe coming together and planning for what's going to be coming up in 2026. You might just find yourself around more family this time of year, which is kind of a given. It is a very family focused time of year, which I understand even saying that can stir up a lot of emotion. It can stir up great emotion like nostalgia and the warm fuzzies. And it can also stir up some feelings of regret, anger, jealousy, even. So, as we wrap up our Difficult People series, we're going to be talking about what is probably one of the most difficult subjects, and it's family. And what's interesting about this is family doesn't have to be difficult, you know what I mean? And it shouldn't be difficult, yet it is. And then you get into the holiday season and well, I mean, everything kind of just gets put underneath this magnifying glass and whatever issues are going on, whatever good things are going on, it's like they're just so much more. They're bigger, they're clearer, they're more vibrant, they're more menacing. They're all of these things, right? Depending on where you're at and where you stand with certain family members. Before we get into family issues and dealing with difficult family members, I just want to start off by saying a couple of things. The first thing is this is not a podcast or this is not an episode about abuse. If you are in an abusive relationship, if you have an abusive family member who's taking advantage of you, who's hurting you, who is physically abusing you, verbally abusing you, like get out, get help. Okay. I am not at all saying that you should be rectifying that situation. I'm saying you need to get help and you need to take care of yourself if that is the situation that you find yourself in. Okay. I also want to say, I don't know your situation specifically. I mean, I can talk about things. First of all, hello, I am not an expert, okay? I'm just some person talking on the internet about things that are on my heart or things that feel like they're important or they might be meaningful or helpful. I'm searching and seeking and growing right alongside you. I know that like me just talking about things is not this blanket statement. It's not prophecy, it's not God's word, it's not, I mean, it's just, it's my opinion. So I just want to put that out and just clarify that. Like, you don't have to take everything I say to the bank. And also understand, like, take everything in context. As my dad always said growing up, like, take the things that people say to you, put them in your back pocket and go try them by fire later on. Like, go take them to God's word, go take them to your own experiences, take time to ponder them, pray about those things. Like, you don't necessarily have to take everything immediately as, sound doctrine. You don't have to take everything immediately as like an argument or something like that. Like, you can take a beat and think about things. You can also take things that I'm saying and just be like, I'm out. I'm gonna go find, I don't have to listen to that. I can find something else that will serve me better. That is totally fine. Like, whatever helps you in this situation is ultimately what we're going for altogether. Okay. So I don't know what your specific situation is. I don't know how hurt you are. I don't know how upset you are. I don't know what kind of conversations have happened or what sort of situations you have found yourself in. Okay. So please remember that as we move forward and we talk about difficult family and we talk about difficult situations with family members, which again, always seem to be magnified around the holidays. Now, you might be in a situation where you're totally fine with all your family. Wonderful. I love that for you. I will say it feels like that's kind of rare, okay? And I only say that because, according to the internet, according to the research that I've done, 1 in 4 people, 25% of the population, are estranged from at least one family member. You don't have a relationship with this person, it's not pleasant, you don't speak. And oftentimes, this is with siblings, this is with parents, and this is with children. So we are talking specifically about immediate family here. Relatives, that is a whole different ballgame. But I think a lot of the same principles that we're going to talk about and practices apply. But really, when it comes to the immediate family, I think there's a big problem with us just like cutting people out of our lives and going dark and going quiet and just cutting off relationships. Again, as we prefaced before, I don't know your specific situation. Also, if it is an abusive situation, like, get out of that relationship, okay? Um, but it surprised me how many people are estranged from different members of their family. And there are a couple of things that actually cause the estrangement. Again, you might have a very specific situation, but according to research, it falls into like a couple of specific categories, three in general: mismatched expectations between family members, a clash of values, and I would slide in like religious beliefs, I would slide in political opinions into that clash of values, also emotional abuse. That is typically where our estrangement happens with people, according to Psychology Today and a couple of other sources online. And it also surprised me how long estrangements happen. The research shows that estrangements can last anywhere between 6 months and 30 plus years. We're talking about people having estrangement issues, which I think happen more often in adulthood, and then like never fixing them. Like that 30 plus years to me just feels like you had a problem with a family member as an adult, you never spoke again. And like it never became resolved. And that absolutely grieves me. And I know that it grieves God as well, because that was not his intention with family. His intention with family was not for us to, use each other as punching bags or hold grudges against one another or to take advantage of one another. Like family is supposed to be a place that is home. They always say that a house is just a house, but what makes it home are the people that are in it. My husband and I always say that to each other. We're like, I'm so thankful to have a person that is my home. Like the person is your home. And family is supposed to be that. You talk about the immediate family, the people that we most are most likely to have estrangement issues with, and it's that immediate family. It's siblings, it's parents, it's children as well. And that's just not the way that it's supposed to be. Family, like I said, is supposed to be home. It's supposed to be a place of rest, a place where you can like let your guard down, where you can nourish your soul with family. You're supposed to be safe and secure. Family is supposed to be, they're supposed to be the people that like know you best, love you best, and are looking out for you, not blindly. I mean, I think that a part of loving somebody is wanting what's best for them, even if it's hard for them to hear, you know what I mean? It's not withholding truth from somebody. Love is so, it's all encompassing, and we'll get deeper into what love exactly is. But I want to talk a little bit about these estrangements and how we fix them. The holiday season is, like I said, it's going to magnify a lot of the issues that you have with somebody. It's going to magnify problems or disagreements or opinions, or it may even stir up some memories from back in the day that are problematic or disturbing or unsettling for you. So how do we fix the estrangement? How do we fix a relationship that has been so broken and it's to the point where like you're not even speaking to that person anymore? Well, you have to, and I speak, before we go too far into this, I should probably share a little bit about my history. My mother and I did not have the best relationship growing up. And we didn't have the best relationship in adulthood either. And ultimately, a couple of years ago, she ended up taking her own life. And it was really, really hard for me, obviously, to lose somebody like that. Even if I was super close to her, like it would have been absolutely devastating. I wasn't super, super close with my mom. Like we weren't on like a deep level. We didn't talk every day. I think about relationships that I know around me with people and their moms, and like they're great, you know, like my mom's my best friend. I call her every day. We chit chat about this. We go on trips together and stuff like that. I just didn't have that with my mom. I talked to a lot of answering machines and voicemails. And it's not to say that's like a nervous laugh right there. It's not to say that she was a bad person. In the years since she's passed, I've worked really hard on seeing the good aspects of my mom. But you know, my mom was not a bad person. I just think that she had a harder time expressing love. And I kind of needed a little bit more from her, just to put it that way. And you know, I think about holidays. I mean, before she passed, it was probably close to 20 years since I had spent a Thanksgiving with my mom. Or I mean, even holidays, like it was at least a good couple of years since I had spent a Christmas with her. You know, and that's sad, you know. But anyway, that's a little bit of my history. So I've had a lot of time to reflect about what I wish that I would have done when she was here. And also, you know, I want to pass along some things that I think would be beneficial for you that would help you if you have an opportunity to fix your estranged relationship now. So that's just a little bit of my backstory. That's a little bit of where my heart is coming from in this. I am definitely not preaching to the choir here. I'm definitely not like trying to, or not preaching to the choir, but I'm not trying to be like on a pedestal of like, I've got it all together and here I am trying to tell you how to do things. So how do we fix the estrangement? How do we even get a conversation going? I think it actually starts with a lot of internal work first. I am a firm believer that when it comes to relationships, whether it's your romantic relationship with your spouse, whether it's your family relationships with your kids or your parents or your extended family, when it comes to friendships even, or, you know, coworkers, I think a lot of what we're looking for from other people can be found or can be given to us if we give it first. If we show up in relationships with a service attitude, a servant heart, as in a how can I serve this person? How can I show up for them in a good way? I think that really, you know, melts the iceberg, brings down the wall, kind of shows them like, oh, if they're loving me like this, I can love them like that too. Like, I really do think that when we come to the table first, we end up getting what we want in the long run. Most of the time, maybe not every single time, but most of the time. So, what I would do is really work on those expectations. We talk about mismatched expectations being the cause of estrangement or one of the big causes of it. I would modify those expectations or I would eliminate them completely. Oftentimes, we get frustrated with people because they don't meet the expectations that we've set for them. And a lot of times, they don't even know what those expectations are. You know what I mean? Like a conversation has never been had about what you expect out of this other person or the way that you think that things should operate. Like, and that can lead to a miscommunication and ultimately an argument, a disagreement, and then an estrangement. So, things that you should expect from family members, and maybe you can express this. You should expect love. You should expect forgiveness, kindness. You should accept or expect a level of vulnerability that leads to apologies. I don't think that I got a lot of apologies from my own mom. And I don't think I apologized enough to my mom, you know, but an apology goes a long way. And that starts with lowering or eliminating the expectations that you have put on another person and you have put on that family member. Now, things that you should not expect from family members, you should not expect them to just fix everything. Like it's on them, it's their fault, they should fix it. You should not expect perfection from any family member or any person in general. We're all fallible, we're all human. As I like to say, we're all fleshy, like we're all sinners that fall short of the glory of God, like that's every single one of us. So to expect somebody else in your family to have it all together, to know how to fix it, to know how to make you feel loved, like that's just not going to be a thing, You also should not expect blind support in everything that you do. Again, this is another person with other opinions and other convictions. And, if you have an estrangement with a parent, they may have experiences that make them think differently than you do. You know what I mean? And expecting them to just like blindly support you on everything is I think a little destructive in relationships. Let's talk a little bit about this is a word that I think is kind of like a 4-letter word. Forgiveness. As we are modifying and eliminating those expectations, there's going to be opportunities for you to exercise forgiveness and to seek forgiveness as well. Just because there's an estrangement with somebody doesn't mean it's because they did something wrong. It could be that you did something wrong and you don't know how to fix it. You know what I mean? So exercising forgiveness on both sides, being able to forgive yourself, have a level of humility to apologize, or having them apologize and you accept their forgiveness, being able to just like let things go, being able to listen to somebody when they're trying to fix things, not just shutting people out. I think exercising forgiveness also, there's an aspect that we tend to miss. Like we want to forgive somebody, but it's like we never allow them to grow. We never allow them to change. We never accept the growth and accept the change. If somebody comes to you because they've hurt you and they've apologized to you, you've got to give them an opportunity to be forgiven. You know what I mean? You might say, well, I forgive him, but you're still like holding them to this expectation or holding them to the mistake that they made. But if you forgave them, like you have to give them an opportunity and have to accept the fact that they're going to grow and move on from it. And you should too. So those are just some of the ways that I think that we could fix estrangement. And similar to our approach with strangers and colleagues and coworkers and stuff, we should absolutely show up to these estranged relationships and these relationships that we have with our family members with kindness and respect. Like those were the remedies. Those were the antidotes that we had for difficult people on the outer orbit. Those strangers, we wanted to be kind to those people. And then when we got to like the outer layer of like coworkers or neighbors, or, the PTA mom or whoever, we talked about trying to approach them with a level of respect. And I think both of those absolutely should be used when you're dealing with family members. Treat your family like the common theme that we've had for the last couple of weeks. Treat your family like people. I just had this conversation with a friend the other day. We just like expect, like I think about us with parents, like growing up, it's like we thought as children that our parents had it all figured out. Like they were parents for a reason. They must have reached some level of responsibility and adulthood that was so high that they were allowed to have children. You know what I mean? They've reached this level of maturity. And when you grow up, you start to realize like, oh no, like my parents were also just humans. And I think that also goes with parents and kids. Like you got to realize like your kid is a person, like they're not the kid that they were back in the day. You can't treat them like that anymore. And you also have to understand that like now they're an adult and they're a person. Like they're not, their role is kind of changed in your life. You know what I mean? So understanding, respecting, and treating them with kindness, I think is so important. And, it goes for siblings as well. And a lot of times siblings can be the ones that are estranged. Siblings also have to understand that like like they're a person, you know, like love them like a person, be kind to them like a person, treat them with respect as a person. I think oftentimes we treat our family members, especially the ones that are closest to us, like punching bags. Like it's okay for me to go off on them because like they're my family, you know. It's okay for me to hold this grudge because they're family, you know. Like we expect them to be perfect, to be a punching bag, and then to bounce back as well. Do you remember those punching bags back in the day? I'm such a millennial. They were like these tall, like cone like figures, or like a pillar. And there was sand at the bottom, and you filled them up with air, and you could punch them. And when they fell down, they would come right back up. Do you remember those as kids? They had all sorts of designs and stuff like that. They were so fun. But like sometimes I think that's the way that we operate with our own family members. We think if we push them down, they're just going to come right back. We think that we can unload on them and throw things on them and just put these weights on them and they're just expected to pop back up and be our family. But we've got to be kind to our family. We've got to show respect to our family. And ultimately, we have to show them love. I told you we were going to get to the love aspect, and I really want to share something with you because oftentimes we think love is just a feeling, right? We talk a lot about this in marriage counseling. There's a lot of conversations about this in relationships like marriages and dating and stuff like that. Like love is not a feeling. And when you talk about it in like a marriage aspect, like love is a commitment, love is a covenant. Like marriage is a covenant. It is a choice, it is a decision, it is what you are committed to. You know what I mean? It is a promise that you make. Sure, it is a feeling, and it's a great feeling, don't get me wrong. But it's so much deeper than that. It's so much stronger than that. And it's so much more powerful than that, okay? When it comes to your family members, we cannot withhold that love, okay? We are bound to these people by blood. We are bound to these people because, like they're family members. They're not just friends. You know what I mean? So I want to read, whether you are a believer or not, whether you have a relationship with Jesus or not, I think this is what love is. Love, they say love is a verb, like love is, it's in action. It is in action. But this comes from 1 Corinthians 13. It's verses 4-7. So many people read this at weddings. So many people reference this, but like really listen to how love is described, what each thing says about love, okay? So it says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. That's not just a feeling. That, to me, like we talk about like different quote unquote weapons that we can take into this world. Love is a weapon. Forgiveness is a weapon. Kindness and respect, those are weapons. But love is a weapon. And we sometimes think that love is just this, it's just sparkles and it's rainbows and it's teddy bears and flowers and chocolates on Valentine's Day. No, love is truly one of the most, if not the most powerful things on this earth. Actually, I think it is the most powerful thing because, God is love. You know what I mean? Like his very nature, his very character is love. And I don't know about you, but last time I checked, God was pretty powerful. But love can fix so many things. Love can withstand so many things. Love can cover so many things. Love can change so many things. I mean, love is what we should be giving to our family members, even the ones that we're estranged with. And it's overwhelming when you think of actually what love is. And I think so many people have heard those words before, whether they grew up in church or not, whether they are in a relationship with God or not. And I would highly, highly encourage you to think about those words. I mean, like, it doesn't envy. Love doesn't envy. I think sometimes we're estranged with family members because we envy them, especially siblings. Like, well, I'll never be this sibling, or, I'm not as good as that sibling, or look at everything that they're doing. And that creates estrangement. It's not self-seeking. I think when we hold grudges, it's because we are self-seeking. We are selfish. We are selfish in our feelings. We can't even think past how we feel to maybe try to understand how the other person feels. You know what I mean? Cutting somebody out of your life, I think, is an incredibly self-seeking thing. Again, we're not talking about abuse here, but just like having a differing opinion with somebody and you cut them out of your life, like that is a very selfish, self-seeking thing to do. It keeps no record of wrongs. What? That's where forgiveness comes in. And how often do we just like keep a stockpile of all the things that somebody has done to us, family members or not, and we keep it ready to go? The moment that they make us angry, we're going to throw that out there. We're going to throw that dagger, throw that dagger, throw that dagger. And it's like, why are we holding on to that? If we're truly forgiving people for what they've done, we no longer have the right to use that stuff against them. We certainly can't bring it up in an argument. You know what I mean? Like, we have forgiven, we have moved on. We keep no record of wrong. It is not easily angered. Oh my gosh, I know that family can get under our skin so quickly. And it's mostly because, like, they know us best. Like, I think of siblings, I think of my brothers, I think of my parents. Like, they have seen me at my best, they have seen me at my worst, they have seen me at my most awkward, they have seen me in my most embarrassing moments, they've seen me through puberty. But they have seen all of those things. So, yeah, it's like they can totally get under my skin more than other people can. And again, it's because of those expectations that we've put on family that we can allow them to just get in there where we're like, I cannot stand you, And that's what leads to estrangement. But man, just think about those words. Again, it's 1 Corinthians 13. It's chapter 13, verses 4-7, if you want to refer back to that. But, I love reading that verse. I have it on a keychain. I've had this on my keychain since I was 16 years old. You can't even read the words on it anymore. It's like this little dog tag with the words on it. But I love having that on me because it reminds me, like, to operate with love, and to dwell on those words and think about those words. And I would encourage you to do the same and keep that at the forefront of your mind as you move forward into this holiday season. Love it's an incredible, incredible thing. And we can unleash it on the people around us and really, really change lives, including our own. But ultimately, like I talked about with my mom passing away a couple of years ago, in such a traumatic way, in such a devastating way, it's a constant reminder for me of like, life is so short. I don't want to get emotional, but I think so much about how I don't get any more life with my mom. Like, no more phone calls with her, no more life updates with her, as few and far between as they were. Just no more knowing that she's on this earth. It's weird when you lose a parent because you feel a little bit like an orphan. I mean, my dad, I still have my dad. I'm very, very close with my dad, but there's just a part of you that kind of goes with them. And I think that's with anybody that's close to us, whether they're related to us or not. And there's so much that I wish that could have been fixed while she was here. But also there's a lot that I wish that I could experience with her going through life. Our relationship might have been frustrating and complicated. But yeah, I still miss her, and I still miss what we could have had, because I really do think, given enough time, we could have fixed it. We could have had a better relationship. And so that's why I'm so adamant about this, because I'm speaking and I'm coming to you from the other side of grief, from knowing what it's like to never have a chance to fix those things, to never, ever, ever have another conversation with somebody that knew me so well, or like was just such a big part of my life. Maybe, I mean, like that's just your mom, regardless if you have a great relationship or not, like that is a person that does hold a lot of space in your life. It's the person that birthed you, for crying out loud. So I just want to encourage you and love on you and even challenge you to try to fix it. Just try to fix whatever is going on with your sibling, with your parent, with your child, with your extended family member, whatever it is. You may be even going through a rough patch with your spouse, and the holidays are just kind of making that so much more magnified and making it bigger than it has felt in the past. Be the person that tries to fix it. 100% be that person. I know it's so easy for us to sit back in self-righteousness, to sit back in just in selfishness and think, well, they did this, they should fix it. They may never fix it. Let's just be honest. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I tried a lot to fix my relationship with my mom. And I don't want to toot my own horn, because obviously I could have done more. But I'm going to tell you, like, you want to be the one that tries. You want to be the one that calls, even if you get a voicemail. You want to be the one that texts, even if you never get a response. You want to be the one that apologizes, even if you never get and I'm sorry back, or the response that you want. You want to be the one who writes a letter and sends it without any expectations, without even like telling them that you're writing a letter. Like that's what I did with my mom. I think one thing that I really wanted her to know, and I'm thankful for like the wherewithal to do this. It's a total God thing that I did this, because it wasn't too long after that she ended up taking her own life. But I'm so glad I took the opportunity just to write her a letter and tell her what I loved about her. It was really heavy on my heart to do that, but I almost felt like nobody had ever spoken to her like that before. Um, and I felt like if she could just hear it from her daughter, it might make a difference. But ultimately, I just wanted her to know how I felt about her truly. If she didn't want to hear it on the phone or through a text message, by golly, I was going to send it to her in a letter. So you want to be the person that does that. We're always waiting for the other person. You'll be waiting forever. Okay. Again, if you're looking for a resolution with somebody, if you're looking for a better relationship with somebody, be the person that initiates that. Be the person that person wants to love. Be the person that person wants to be a family member of, a parent of, a child of, a sibling of. You know what I mean? Show up in a way that you hope that they would show up for you. It's that golden rule of like, treat others how you want to be treated. But I think it's so much deeper than that. It really is extending a level of like service to this person in the hopes that they would give it back. I would also encourage you to be open to hear hard things. If you're going to start a conversation with somebody that you're estranged with, you've got to be able to listen as much as you feel like you need to speak. Actually, I would say you should be able to listen more than you speak. Like, hear them out. Hear the words that they have to say. There's going to be things that are going to hurt. There are going to be things that you will absolutely disagree with. But just like you want to be heard, they also want to be heard. Okay, so just be open to listen, be open to hear those hard things. And if it does get into a deeper conversation, a hard conversation, same thing they talk about in like marriage counseling and how to fight fair. Never use the word never, and never use the word always. They're just not true. This person never does that. Well, they probably did it once or twice. This person always does that. Well, they probably didn't do it a few times, and it probably isn't always. So keep those words out of your vocabulary when you're having these conversations, and try to keep it very focused on the actual issue, and not throw in or pile on a bunch of stuff. I also want to encourage you to be willing to apologize and be willing to forgive. We've hit on that a lot through this episode. It may take time. It may take time to fully apologize and make changes. It may take time to fully forgive. I do think that forgiveness is a journey. I do think that the enemy loves to throw things at us that make us not forgive or forget that we've forgiven or take back forgiveness. You know what I mean? Don't let him do that to you. Don't let him win that battle. Continue to seek out resolution, continue to seek out forgiveness, and again, like we talked about earlier, like giving the other person an opportunity to grow and accepting it as well. And ultimately be comfortable with moving on. That acceptance, like we talk about, allow space for you to grow, allow space for the other person to grow. We're all just trying to figure this life thing out. Like we're all just trying to figure out how to enter different seasons of our lives. Like we're so quick to be like, well, our parents should have done this. It's like, well, your parents were still trying to figure it out. And we think like, oh, well, our kids should just automatically do this. And it's like, well, your kids are also still trying to figure it out. Our siblings should have done A, B, and C. Well, your siblings are still trying to figure it out too. So let's be compassionate with one another, gracious with one another, and let's try to figure it out together. It's going to be so much better in the long run, I just, I think about the holiday season. I know it's not easy for everyone. I know that you also might be walking through a season or entering into a holiday season where you don't have that person with you anymore. You might be where I'm at, where you're on the other side of grief and you're thinking like, I can never fix it. And there's always going to be like this little hole in the holiday season. Yeah, there is. And my heart is broken thinking about that for you. But I think that let that be a motivation for you to fix that with other people. Like maybe you had an estranged relationship with somebody who has passed away and you can't fix it. Well, maybe that can push you to fix another relationship because you know what it feels like when they're not there. You know what it feels like when you can't fix it. I would also like I'm doing right now, like speak these words to other people, remind people that life is short, remind people that there may come a time where they can't fix it, but you've got to fix it. You've got to at least try. Okay. You've got to at least extend the olive branch, open up the conversation, send the text message, extend the invite, do something that just, is a level of try. Okay. As tough as the holidays can be, my hope and my prayer is that the holidays could be just the right, like warm and fuzzy season to start fresh. The holidays could be a time where we're in the season of giving, and we want to give joy and love and laughter and light to one another, especially those ones that we might have a complicated relationship with. So again, take everything with a grain of salt, and understand that, again, I don't know your full situation, but I do know that there's at least hope for the relationship that you're in that is complicated, okay? I'm praying over those relationships, and I hope that this is a warm and fuzzy holiday season. And just practice a little patience as we move into Thanksgiving next week. I love you guys so much. I really do. And I'm so thankful that you're here, and make it a great week for yourself.